Well, while we wait for Nathalie, let's go ahead and at least introduce everyone. Let me share a little bit with you about the intention of this panel, and then we'll introduce everyone on the call here. So when we think of, founder well-being, it's critical. We just had this conversation about being the CEO of your life. And as an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur and a mountaineer. And I say the hardest mountain I ever climbed was starting my own business. It was harder than climbing Everest, definitely. It is every day. It's like you're climbing Everest every day, some days. But founder well-being is critical to the success of a company. So for far too long, the focus has been on the hustle versus a balanced, healthy being. Today we're going to dive into honest conversation on the resilience required for entrepreneurship and how each of these founders has found it. Just to give you some statistics, this is also to diffuse any stigma around mental health and well-being as well, which highly still exists in the world. And that is that 72% of entrepreneurs are directly or indirectly affected by mental health issues, compared to just 48% of non-entrepreneurs. That's according to a study by the National Institute of Mental Health. 49% of entrepreneurs deal with mental health issues directly, while only 32% of them experience them. And so each of these founders, as I'll introduce you, we've all had our own journey, why we've also started companies that focus on overall health and well-being. And so we'll dive into these conversations and how we've all found our own way and navigated through this journey. So Marianna, let's kick off with you. I'm going to let each of you introduce yourselves if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm very grateful to be on this panel. My name is Marianna Jamadi, and I'm the founder of Oh Good Grief. And Oh Good Grief is a grief platform that aims to change the dialogue around death and grief and start conversations about it. It's part resource-based in terms of going to the website and finding some resources on your own. It's also community-oriented. And in addition to that, our lens is kind of through creativity, which is my background. So I'm not a professional in terms of, I'm not a psychologist, but this was the result of my parents passing in 2 consecutive years and trying to find my own way of dealing with death and grief. And creativity has always been my healing force. And so I've kind of structured Oh Good Grief through creativity, and that's the approach. So it's kind of creating rituals and community, which my background is I'm a travel photographer, and I've seen so many different cultures approach death and grief in ways that are so beautiful and so meaningful. And I was looking for that in the Western world, and I couldn't really find what I was looking for, so I created it.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you. And as I think of what's happened in the world in the last year plus, right, how many people are dealing with grief in different forms, in different ways, from loss of loved ones, loss of dreams, loss of businesses, lots of lost. And so that there really aren't that many forums out there or support to have these open and honest conversations. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Nathalie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I'm just letting each of the speakers introduce themselves. So if you're happy to introduce yourself next, that'd be great.
Yes, well, it's a pleasure to be here today. I am Nathalie Walton. I am the CEO of Expectful, and Expectful is, it started as a meditation and sleep app for growing families. And when I came on board as the new CEO last September, I brought along my own personal experience as a new mom, and how I experienced just a lack of resources for women in pregnancy and motherhood. And so when I came on board, I crafted this much larger vision to address the well-being of fertility, pregnancy, and new parents. And so that's what I'm creating, is this go-to wellness platform for hopeful, expecting, and new moms. And really excited to be here today.
Thank you so much for joining us. And I love that. I love that meditation is just being utilized as a tool, a beautiful tool for life in so many different aspects. And so, yeah, I know when I saw your website, I was like, oh, that's so wonderful. I'm so glad that she's doing that. Can't wait to hear more. Lani.
Hi, thank you. So great to see everyone. My name is Lani Cooper. I'm the founder and CEO at Mobot. I am a comedian, sports therapist, nutritionist, yoga instructor. We don't have time for all my roles. The comedian side of it, I'm an accidental dork, so I don't know if it really counts. I invented a product that combines two simple things that we could use every day to help our mental and physical health. Combines hydration and trigger point therapy or self-massage therapy into one. So it's a foam roller water bottle. It's all eco-friendly. And our community is like-minded people that come together for better health, better hydration, and a better way to recover from things. Because my belief is that how you recover from anything is how life gets better, just whether it's a bad pickup line or a bad meal or something like that. Everything is about recovery.
I love it. Definitely been a part of some of those. Thank you, Lani. And also what Lani didn't share, which I'm going to pry her to share a little bit later, is that she's not only this amazing founder of Wellbeing, she also herself recovered from a traumatic brain injury and is here today, against all odds. And she continues to inspire me every day. So we'll definitely hear about that.
Thank you. I think I was trying to forget. No, I'm joking.
Tianna.
Aloha. Lani, you're a great comedian. I'm cracking up over here. Aloha, I'm Tianna Collins. I am founder, CEO of CARDYoga, which just basically marries heart health and yoga. But to dive even deeper into that, it's really about balancing mind, body, soul on all sides. It's about diving in deep, finding your divinity, connecting with your royalty, and continuing to uplift not just yourself, but your community, and in turn, the world. When I was an athlete, I didn't have kind of like, oh no, I didn't really have the rockin'. My internet's kind of doing a little something. Can you guys still hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can.
We're still good?
Yeah, we're good. I'm
going to continue. When I was an athlete, I didn't have a ton of support where I went to go, I was trying to come back from a serious injury, and I really needed someplace that was like yoga, but had like a great playlist. So we use music, we use dance, we use movement, and it's really about mindful movement too. It's about conscious breath, and it's about always reconnecting with not just your gratitude for life and the abundance that this world provides, but also love, LOVE. It's just that simple. If you do everything with 100% love, then you could only excel. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us, all of you. All of your personal journeys have had an impact on the organizations that you ultimately have started. So take us there to that moment, if you're willing, of how it went from this, I'm experiencing this potentially, or to the work that you're doing now, when it was a decision of like, this is now, I need to transition it into something besides just maybe supporting myself through this journey, into like transitioning to a broader aspect. Marianna, do you want to go?
Sure.
I'm looking at you, but you can't tell because we're over the screen, the joy of virtual.
So I mentioned a little bit about just my background as a photographer. And so prior to my parents passing, I had just sort of kind of witnessed and seen different cultures, like whether it be in Varanasi in India or cremation ceremonies in Bali or Dia de los Muertos, all these different cultural rituals I had kind of seen. So those were kind of lingering in my mind and body and heart. And then the passing of my parents in 2017 and 2018 were so close. And I was also first generation. My father was from Indonesia, my mother was from Finland, and I only had my sister in the US. And it really felt very uprooting to me. And I didn't really know like how to move forward or how to move through the grief space. And so I kind of went back to these memories of other cultures that just felt really nice in terms of how they were talking and moving through that. And just in my own experience, I was seeing or experiencing a lot of people that didn't know how to talk to me and didn't know how to approach, didn't know what to say. And also I felt like there's always this heaviness to it, which it's part of it, of course. But there's so much more. There's a whole spectrum of what grief is as a human experience. And so it can be really hard and heavy, and it can be really have moments of just gratitude and grace. And so actually the irony is that once quarantine hit, all my travel work was gone, and it actually allowed me to launch. So I launched it last summer in the middle of the pandemic. Just because I had the time to do so. And so I was really grateful for that. So it kind of felt like all these little things that had happened to me in previous years all kind of culminated. And also that's why I call it Oh Good Grief, because it just kind of reminds me of like that Charlie Brown, like, oh, good grief, you know, like Jesus, you know, so there is kind of some humor into it and just like, what the heck? And so I wanted it to have that kind of duality of just sort of like heavy and light. So, because that's what life is.
No, I love that. And it's true. I mean, I think so much of, you know, we'll get into more of these topics of well-being, of spirituality, of all these things really focuses on moving towards the light. And sometimes this aspect of the darkness doesn't get spoken about. And and it's in the darkness sometimes. And we were talking about in the last panel was like through the challenges is sometimes where we find our truth, like this inner strength, resilience that we have that we might not have discovered otherwise.
Absolutely.
And you know, you were faced with a lot of trauma and you found the gift in it, and the gift is in sharing with other people a way to get through it. And like I said, I think grief, you can look at it so many different ways, right? From an actual person in your life to even grieving the person you used to be and stepping into the person that you can be, you know, that you want to be. So it's such important work. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
And Nathalie, your journey as you entered this new company, a new role.
Yeah, so I have a pretty unique story. I didn't found my company, rather though I used it as a user. So when I was 20 weeks pregnant, I found out that I had a high-risk pregnancy, and it was incredibly stressful. Like, I'm that wellness person that I felt like I was doing everything right in pregnancy. Like, I was eating right, I was working out all the time. I was just so careful to make sure that like I have the best pregnancy ever. Then halfway through my journey, I go to the doctor's office and it's like, whoa, you know, out of my control, all of a sudden things aren't going so well. And I found out like that I was at risk of going into preterm labor where I could lose the baby at any time. So I went from this moment thinking like I'm invincible to the point where I was like, I need to just make it every day, another day, so that my son will be big enough and healthy enough for when I give birth. And so it created a tremendous amount of stress. And I've had a meditation practice for over 20 years, but I started using Expectful, the app. And it's a meditation and sleep app for pregnancy and fertility and new moms. And there's something about when I started using Expectful's guided meditations, and I also at the same time got really into hypnobirthing, something within me just changed, and I actually like stabilized. I had been getting every week worse and worse, and then probably within a week of using the app and getting into hypnobirthing, I managed to stabilize. And that was incredible because I ended up making it to term, which was something I didn't know was possible at the midway point. And so, you know, that just left a lasting impact. And the way I became, I got into Expectful was I started advising the company. There was this role that came out somewhere in during my maternity leave, and I was like, oh, this company just had a really big impact on my life. They're looking for someone with my skill set. Like, let me, connect the dots. And in my advisory role, I had no idea that the founder was looking for a mother to take over the company. So the founder is a male, and he doesn't have children. And he was looking for someone that had my lived experience to take over. And so it was really in that moment, in that time of advising him and bringing in all of the collective experiences I had in pregnancy as a new mom, where I was able to say, hey, there is nothing being designed for us that are experiencing these things right now. I mean, new motherhood is really hard, and women are just without resources. So it was like really in that time where I was able to just listen to the universe and see what needed to be done. And then with that, I joined Expectful as a CEO in September. I was able to fundraise, and I'm now in the process of like building this vision. I mean, it's taking time. We just closed our round. We raised $3 million, and we closed it in late January. So it takes time to build something, but it's I guess an example of that. If something really resonates with you, you can take it on and bring it to the next level.
Oh, that's incredible. I mean, what a beautiful moment of synchronicity, and I want to hit on this a little bit more. And as you hear all these stories, I hope you start to see the thread. Really hard, challenging, not great things happening, but then leading into this, aha moment, or this light, or, and it's not to say that, gosh, we have to have bad things happen to us to get to a great place, but it's the resilience that comes from it, right? That tapping into that energy of resilience, and then where that can lead. And so thank you for sharing that. And I'm so glad that the meditation and the app and everything helped, and that your son is healthy and well now. How old is he now?
Thank you. He is almost 16 months. Yeah, so I have my hands full, and I still need every part of the app, because motherhood is really tough. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's tough. And so, helping women through that. But it's definitely, I think I echo your sentiments. It's like you could turn in your experience to something more powerful to help other people with creating the tools that you wish you had.
Definitely. Thank you. Lani.
Hi, what beautiful stories, what synchronicity. And Marianna, the rituals and the whole good grief. I know the grief I went through when many, but the good one of like I was selling a business and didn't realize for a week later what I was going through and that sort of thing. So there's so many levels that, we can talk about it that we don't want to carry with us. I think it's amazing. Oh gosh, what was the question again?
It's just more of your own personal journey. Like, what was that moment that kind of transitioned? Lani, you're the woman that's lived like 20 lives already and careers and everything else. So,
That was good for 84, right?
that pointed you towards this direction now, right? And knowing that you had to take maybe the personal experience you were living into a place of service.
I just want to touch on earlier what you said, which I find interesting. I just am curious and love to pose questions and think about everything about how more entrepreneurs are suffering with mental health issues. And it just made me think like it's actually like a gift what the certain sides of mental health that people look at, and a lot of people that go into being an entrepreneur, you end up with this gift of questioning because you've gone through the suffering, and then that carries through. And then that's where, like for me, a big part of what I do is creating recovery tools. So you go in with that, you want more, you want to improve other people's lives, it's going to add to that. And that's building to what we're talking about, which is resilience and well-being, which is, okay, if we start with that, and we want to improve things for others, it's going to be pressure on us. And we're typically not the kind of people that put ourselves first. That's why we do what we do, and from mothers to founders and things like that. So I just thought it was interesting to know that I can definitely attest to having mental things before I went into this. But I think that they're a gift, and that's what's taken me where I am and pushed me through. And I started out obviously being in sports and things like that, and got injury and illness quite young. Went into my own recovery stage, and then there was like, why aren't more people aware of this? So, similar to Cardi just going, why aren't more people, supporting each other? We're talking like 20 plus years ago. So I started out in physical therapy. For me, in my opinion, there's more to us than a muscle. I'm like, what are you thinking? What are you eating? How are you breathing? Like, what environment are you in? Are you setting up? Like, on a whole. So I went into more holistic health. And that's what sort of put me on the path of, you know, finding ways to help people perform better or recover faster. And then coming up with the idea was just, you know, I'm always coming up with ideas. And I think I've said it before, my ex-husband at the time was just like, oh my God, just do it. Like, maybe an idea that'll finally work. Like, get out of my face. I was like, I'm going to do it. Okay, go do it. I was like, oh my God, it's working. What? I was like 1 in a million working, and that never giving up. And I was, you know, surely I'm not the only person with this problem. But that was probably my 5th business by the time I started Mobot, and I had learnt to keep a little bit more to myself in the sense of what I would call back then, and I don't know if it's PC now, but dream stealers, that people that are in their own world of they couldn't do that, so they project, you know, that onto you. So I kept a few things to myself until I got it going well and truly, where no one could knock me off my perch and say it's not going to work, and say it's going to work, because I call myself a bit of a wise ass, WHY ass, like why or why not? Like I'm a wise ass. Like, what is coming out of my mouth is like, why won't that work? Why can that work? So I think, you know, questioning everything has sort of helped me get here.
Thank you. I love it. And you know, I think for anybody watching, any entrepreneurs watching, I don't know where you are on your entrepreneurial journey. This might be your first business you're starting. You might be an intrapreneur. You might be working internally in a company, an organization, starting a new team. You know, give yourself space to try and fail and keep going, right? It's not like we all get one company that we get to work on in our lives. As we grow as human beings, so does potentially the type of work and how we want to serve changes and shifts and evolves as well. So thank you for being always so transparent. I love it. Tianna.
Hello, I'm back. I feel like the volcano is still, you know, helping me out with this internet. So let's continue to like send aloha vibrations my way. CARDYoga stimulated from really an injury. So like when I was in college, I tore my ACL, and it was, Nathalie, you use the word invincible. And that's exactly what I used to think about myself, invincible. And then I realized how much impact words and what you say and even your thoughts have an impact on your life. And I remember the day before I tore my ACL, I said, I've never had a major injury in my life. I'm so strong. And boom, it happened. And to be out of commission, considering ever since I, you know, probably took my first steps, I was kicking a soccer ball and wanting to run and wanting to jump. And then all of a sudden not being able to do anything, really just like immobile. It was hard. It was difficult, and I would continue to say, I'm okay. Well, guess what? Sometimes you have to like tap into your truth. Sometimes you have to tap into how you really feel and be vulnerable. And the second I decided to own that was when I began to get better. And, you know, after a couple championships, you know, stepping into adulthood, I realized that I wanted to do something for athletes, but not just for athletes, really for kings and queens. I wanted to bring a fun, like you said, Marianna, fun, a little bit of like, you know, energy, a little bit of creativity to what yoga to me was. And the first time I stepped into a yoga class, it was very, I don't know. Let's just say I didn't go back for like another couple years. I had gone to the teacher, I had asked for help, and she didn't really seem like she wanted to help me. And to be honest, I didn't know if it was because of the color of my skin. I didn't know if it was because I was, you know, 20 something years old and, you know, fresh out of college, and there's, you know, whatever it is. I think, Georgina, you said something about, women supporting women. And I really wanted to create this space where queens support queens, kings support kings, but just we as humans, we as divine beings are able to support one another by continuing to step into our love, step into our light, choosing greatness, being mindful. And that's when CARDYoga kind of birthed itself. I needed something with heart health. I wanted something with cardio, because I'm a jock. I need to sweat. I need to make sure I'm jamming to some music. I need to make sure that we are, that each and every moment we're thinking about mind, body, and soul, and we're all elevating in the same way. So cardio.
Oh, her internet is down. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna jump into the resilience piece. So
Gift
she's
this.
back.
Are we back?
You're back.
I wasn't sure.
That's
I wrapped it up.
Go for it. Okay. We'll jump into the resilience piece. No, thank you for sharing that. I mean, as an athlete myself, and Lani, athlete also, there's and I believe there's quite a few on part of our audience as well. It's really humbling to go through an injury. And that recovery piece, it doesn't even matter if you're an athlete. I think anytime you are unwell and you go from feeling strong to a point of you're not your strongest, it's super humbling. It's humbling on so many levels. Sometimes you have to ask for help, and maybe you're not good at asking for help, or you don't like to. And it also forces you to explore parts of yourself that you might not have, we like to really focus on our strengths. Think of when you apply for jobs or different things, there's a strengths finder, all these things. There's no weakness finder. Can we tap into the weakness, please? But I really wish we would a bit more so, I'm a huge mental health advocate. I grew up in a mentally ill household. I myself have struggled with depression on and off throughout my life. It's been meditation and nature and movement in my body that's saved me. And that's not dramatic. It's not dramatic. It's the truth. And that's why I'm here today. I can't say it's because of it. And just an openness with myself to give myself permission to reach those points of this is hard, it's been a lot of moments on the floor. But then they're beautiful moments, and you do find this inner strength, and even the word strength feels a little weak, to be honest. And I do love this word resilience. So what does that mean for each of you? Let's just do a quick lightning round. What does resilience mean for you? For me, it is a connection to my truth that is what's going to get me through the rest of my life. It's a constant discovery, because I don't think I tap into that resilience once. It's also a muscle memory. It'd be so nice if we have one bump in the road in life, but a lot of times we have many. And so it's gosh, when you hit that next hurdle, being able to go to that last place that required you to be much stronger than you ever thought you needed to be, to make it to the next round. So curious to hear from each of you what resilience means, and feel free to I don't need to call on you, just dive in.
I would share that there was this interview with Anderson Cooper that I saw many years ago, and he was talking about this topic, and he recounted watching a documentary about sharks and how if they stop swimming that they'll die. And that has always stuck with me since that point. And it's just the idea in terms of resilience is just always moving, and just kind of, making sure that knowing you might move one way and it's okay to pivot. But if you get stuck and you're kind of complacent, then that's the point at which everything starts to kind of shut down. And so I just think about expansion, really, in terms of resilience, movement and expansion. And that can be the physical activities, that can be exposing yourself to nature, but it's that kind of openness and willingness to kind of move. And it doesn't always feel like you're moving forward. So that's the other thing. It's not moving just forward, it's just moving. And then eventually you'll kind of get there.
I love that. It's true. It's movement of our body, of our energy, of our thoughts. Sometimes if you're just completely stuck, you have to help yourself along that way of, welcoming new things in. Yeah.
I think resilience is like appliability. I have a crazy head, so I think of that guy in the breeze all blown up, and when I think of a problem, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna flow with it, go with it kind of thing, and having appliability about how we approach things, and that that they're not always bad. They may feel bad in the moment, but it's always, when you look at it in reverse and going, okay, I get it. I needed to, and once you become aware, for me, I go, okay, I quite literally sometimes walk outside, look up, go, that was a good one. You nearly got me. Go back in and find a reset, whether 30 seconds, a couple of minutes to consistently reset is, I think, what builds our resilience. But to get that, you've got to sort of take that step forward, get uncomfortable, possibly, learn, fail, whatever they want to call it, and get back up and go again. And I think a willingness and a curiosity is key when it comes to that, because it's not about the success of where you go. For me, it's about who you become, setting that big goal, whether it's tomorrow or 10 years away. Who do I need to become that? I didn't become CEO and all that overnight. That was a hardcore road for a very long time, because I didn't study that. I did my MBA on the street outside here. So, just figuring out who you want to become, and then reverse engineering it back to today. What are the steps I take each day, and what do I need to learn? And the more you ask for, the more you're going to get given. If you need to go into something, it's going to throw it all at you and go, do you really want it? And stand up every day and go, yeah, I do want it. What do I learn? And keep moving forward. But I'm a bit of a rip the Band-Aid off, so don't take everything I say to heart.
Nathalie, I hear you trying to say something. Are you?
Yeah,
you
I know it's the etiquette of being.
Go ahead. Go.
For me, resilience is getting back up. It's just dusting yourself and getting back up and continuing with your journey. There will be so many road bumps along the way, and sometimes it's fine to take a chance to heal or process what's going on. But this is a really long journey, our lives, and we just have to get back up and continue on. And so for me, resilience is as simple as that.
Thank you. Yeah. Tianna?
For me, resilience is definitely dusting yourself off. I sometimes say shake those haters off. I don't even like the word hate, and I don't even use it like that. But when I talked about the power of speech, the power of language, resilience is that forward movement. It's about, sometimes jumping off the freaking cliff, growing your wings on the way down, learning how to fly when you least expect it, kind of, when it's most challenging. I love a good challenge. And instead of looking at something as in oh, why is this happening to me? Why is this going down in my world? Why is this negative thing happening to me? Sometimes there's that silver lining on the other side. There's that little bit of positivity that's right around the corner. And I believe that nothing in this world happens by accident. I believe that the universe has our back. And with that said, it's the second you make that decision, the universe does everything possible to help support you. So resilience, keep going. Let's go get it. It's that championship mindset where an L isn't gonna stop you at all. It's not gonna. You might have to pivot, like Marianna said, pivot, but we're still on the same road. And guess what? Do we have rainbows without rain? And now living on Maui, I experience double rainbows. I experience full rainbows. I experience just like little bitty rainbows. And it's all about a little bit of rain, a little bit of sunshine. And let's just marry that mess together, continue to step into that power and go forward one step at a time, even if it's a baby step, even if you stand in two-stepping, let's do a little move. Let's continue to rock and roll forward.
Oh, I love that, and my sport's mountaineering. So a lot of times you actually take a lot of steps up a mountain and then you have to go all the way back down to the base to recover before you can actually go back and reach the top. And that's just part of the practice. It's super frustrating to do. Somehow while I'm climbing, I'm like, yeah, that's just part of the process. But when it comes to life and I'm asked to go quote unquote back, I'm not such a happy person. I'm very resistant to go backwards. I'm like, wait, I just did all this. Why do I have to go back? And so I think it's just giving ourselves that space. That's part of the resilience. You have to give yourself that space to ebb and flow with the flows of life. And with this pandemic, I mean, gosh, the whole world's been challenged on resilience, on every level. Resilience could be just being in your house and not having been able to leave, for such an extended period of time. So being mindful of time, I would love to just hear from all of you. As an entrepreneur, I say all entrepreneurs are honorary climbers and mountaineers because the journey it takes to start your own business, chart your own way. As I said, also entrepreneurs, creatives, it is not necessarily like an easy path. You have to create the road that wasn't there. And so what advice would you have, words of wisdom for people watching on this path, for whether it comes to do with self-care for your fellow founders, leaders, viewers, or in tapping into how you've maybe tapped into this resilience to keep on your own journey, in a joyful way, in a creative way, in a healthy way? Because there is a big difference of just powering through and pushing through. And I will say I used to be in that camp, and that's not always sustainable either. There is this fine balance of taking little steps and getting back up. But you have to give yourself also permission to recover, if you've been knocked down really hard or there's been a health thing, there's all these different things. So just curious to hear from each of you what words of wisdom you would have for our audience.
Just want to say there's an amazing light shining down on you right now. It's very distracting. My shiny new thing is going, wow.
The sun is just beautifully coming in and it's creating this.
Perfect timing. I'll go first and we're chatting away. I think back yourself and believe in yourself and what you're doing and who you are, what you stand for, and know that it's okay to make a decision and other people not support you or follow you as long as you support you, and that you can change your mind. You can be wrong per se in when things change, but what decision you make in that moment, you don't know what the future is and holds. So you have the ability to change your mind, or what's that prayer, Tianna? I always say it wrong. Where it's what is it? Forgive me.
Oh, Pono.
Yes. I do that one a lot.
Yes, I do too.
and it works, but being in the place where you back yourself, because if you don't believe in you and believe in your ideas and what you're doing, whether it's passion or obsession, it's going to be difficult to get through the noise and everything that's out there. That would be my tip.
Thank you. 100%.
I will add to that. I would say find your anchors and also be gentle. So anchors could be your support system. Also just within yourself, knowing yourself is really important because you are your worst critic. So you always have to go back to yourself and be grounded in some way, however you can get there. And then also be gentle with yourself because you are going to make mistakes and all of these things aren't going to be perfect. And so just kind of accepting it, learning from it, and then moving forward, I think is super important. But yeah, I think generally speaking, the biggest part, we keep going back to this, is kind of just about knowing yourself and knowing your anchors. And I always ask myself, when I get to those doubtful places, I just say, like, do you still want to do this? And the answer has always been yes. And until the answer is no, then I'll continue to like get up and keep doing it. And then keep asking myself, why am I doing this? Like, kind of those are the two questions when I'm in those places, I kind of go to kind of propel myself forward.
Great. I love that, to keep asking yourself those questions, because that's how you find out if it's time to make a shift, right? Don't lock yourself into something that's not serving you. If it's already served its time and space in your life. Nathalie?
I recently saw, I think someone posted on Twitter this saying, and it really resonated with me. And that's, your first podcast is going to suck. Your first newsletter is going to suck. Your first book is going to suck. And your first pitch deck, your first email with customers. But every founder, every CEO, they experienced that. Their first product, their first thing that they put out there was not great. And to just get over it, because the more you do it, the better you're going to become. And for me, that just really clicked, because it's like, I spend so much time thinking about like, oh, is my pitch deck good? Or like, wow, this blog post is bad. But the point isn't about perfecting it. It's just getting it out there so that you can grow and continue to grow. And so I think if you have that mentality about the first time that you do anything is not going to be great, and it's okay, and the best of the best experience that too. For me, that helps in just continuing to give myself the grace to move forward.
I love it. There's a saying, perfect is the enemy of done. So it is very true. Tianna?
I want to offer the idea of fear as false evidence appearing real. So kind of like the idea that we're our own worst critic. Like, we're going to put on top of like whatever our dreams are, all the fear that we've probably gained like until this moment. But just always remembering that that's false evidence. It's like your reality, you could change it at any moment. It's about choosing every single day. How am I going to live my life? How do I want to share my gifts with the world? And the idea about keeping your gifts private, it's like, this is a gift from the higher powers. You know, the higher, whether it's God that you believe in, whether it's gods that you believe in, whether it's the universe, there's something that's just greater than us as beings. And we have to continue to tap into that on a daily. So if I was to break it down just on a little bit of advice, start your day with a breath of gratitude, knowing that abundance and this life force is entering your body and it's providing replenishment and rejuvenation for you on a cellular level, on a feel good level. So soulfully you're feeling better. And then your body as well. Like those like serotonin levels are like jumping when you start getting your body moving. So does that mean go out for a walk in nature? Maybe it does. But movement, mindful movement each and every day. It could be a 10-minute walk when you have a break. It could be going outside for lunch rather than sitting in your I'm like, do we have cubicles anymore? Because it's got to be like 6 feet apart or something like that. But either way, each and every day, we've got to do a little bit of something. And don't forget to dream. Don't forget to envision exactly how you feel when you hit that like major mark. Sometimes I think it's not about like the plan of action, but it's really about, okay, when I wake up in the morning and I'm starting this new job, what am I doing in the morning? How does my routine go? And what is this routine that is so important to me? Am I getting in my yoga? Am I getting in my meditation? Am I having time for my loved one? Am I having time to walk my dog? Like, envision that. And then out of your dream and out of that visualization, that manifestation of like how you want to feel, what you're passionate about, what you've been working so hard on, that comes, it's going to meet you at the top of the mountain. Georgina, I just had to drop that mountain piece in there for you.
Thanks. No, I love it. Yeah, you know, I love this group of women that's here, and you know, I'm so grateful to all of you for joining. I want to just thank you for sharing your wisdom with the audience, and also I'd love to share with the audience watching. I just added our little tags there of who everybody is, but how can people watching either be a part of your community, of your companies, you know, or support you in any way. So if you want to share that, you know, as founders, if there's any founders watching, always be okay to, you know, share, ask for help, grow your community, grow your network. It is so important. Any type of founder, whether you're creative, like whatever it is, you know, it's stronger together. And that's what I really want to emphasize throughout this whole conference. You know, gosh, that's part of resilience, is building a powerful community of kindred spirits to support you on this journey. Because, yeah, starting anything, I think, is a challenge, and there's going to be bumps on the road, maybe, you know, most likely. But that's okay. So, yeah, if we could just go around, maybe Marianna, we'll just go around the order of the screen, just share a little bit of how people can find you and connect with you.
Sure. I think the easiest way would just be through Instagram. It's at @o.goodgrief. And that way you can link to the website. And we also have some upcoming creative workshops. So that's the other piece of this, is that we're actually providing and partnering with different artists and wellness practitioners. And if you are an artist or a wellness practitioner that would like to partner with Oh Good Grief, please message me, and I would love to kind of bring you in and share your wisdom with our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Lani?
Oh, sorry. Dyslexic, so I was going the other way. You can find us at Instagram's probably the best place. It's at Mobot Nation. We're actually recruiting for more role models, which is what we call our ambassador community, with fitness enthusiasts, mums, athletes, and everything like that. Where you can find me at Lani_Cooper. Fair warning, just getting going. If you're easily offended, maybe not. Otherwise, Mobot Nation. And we also are just closing out. We did a community equity crowdfunding campaign on Start Engine. And so that actually ends next Friday. And I'm so happy to say that more than half have been women that have invested for the first time and dipping their toes in it. So if anyone wants to dip their toes and come along with our fabulous women and take, you know, more role models to the world, check out Start Engine. And yeah, otherwise it's Instagram to reach out to us.
Awesome. And all of the speaker bios as we go through, they're all on the website. So if you go to the summit page and then it says more speakers, you'll read about all these lovely, amazing speakers we have joining us. And also it gives links as well. So in case.
Can I just quickly add, so just it's Earth Day. I know it's 4:20 today, so I'm actually not high. I'm naturally like this. But it's Earth Day on Thursday. And so that is just, it's been around for a while to let people know. Obviously, Earth Day is not just one day, but to bring recognition to what everyone's doing to try and protect our world and our oceans and our climate, and, you know, bring just more awareness to what we don't see, which is the plastic that we think we put in recycling is just going into recycling, and it's not. Going into the oceans and things like that. So long story short, we're doing a giveaway and a competition, and we're working with and donating back to Sea Shepherd. So if you buy a couple of our products that have Sea Shepherd on them at mobot.com, we're donating back to Sea Shepherd. And that's just this week. We're actually building out campaigns to continue to give more back to environmental charities as well. So everyone get their reusables out.
That's wonderful. Well, you can find me on @Expectful on Instagram. That's probably the best place, or check us out on our website, expectful.com.
Thank you. And on the app, so there's meditations for like every stage of pregnancy.
Yeah, there's for fertility, there's grief, so loss, anyone that's experiencing miscarriage, pregnancy, and parenthood. So really there's something for people that are on, anyone that's on their journey to parenthood. Meditations for both birth partner and the person that's actually giving birth. And it's meditation support, it's sleep support. And we've recently launched a lot of live meditation content and live classes. We got into pre and postnatal fitness. So like one of my favorite classes is mom and baby yoga. So I recommend checking that out.
That's awesome. I love it. Very good. And I love that you have the sleep aspect to that as well, which is so critical. I could talk about sleep on its own panel.
Sleep is so important.
See, how can people
sleep is
find
when
you?
we recover and we reset and we replenish. So always remember to get some good sleep, y'all. You could find me, probably the easiest is definitely Instagram at CARDYoga, CARDYoga. Just go straight into yoga, baby. I'm also launching my new site. So I do everything creative. I'm also a photographer. So everything that you see that's been built on the new site, like rebranding, I'm very excited to present that at the end of this month. And CARDYoga@gmail.com, if we're going old school, like just send me an email and I'll respond. Just make sure that you said, just let me know what's going on. Hey, I'm looking for a little mind, body, soul shift. And then one thing that I started last year, which is Reasons, Seasons, Lifetimes, is a beautiful journey of queens. And it's really about tapping into your greatness, continuing to live mindfully, and using yoga, meditation, nutrition in order to journey through. So we're ramping up this year. This spring, we're launching an 8-week program. So I'm very excited that that's right around the corner. Thank you all, beautiful goddesses and queens, for just this moment. I just want to take you all in and send you just a beautiful breath of love and divine light. Mahalo.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for being a part of this panel, for sharing all of your energy and wisdom. And, again, for anybody watching that's thinking about starting something, already on the journey and path, I hope that all of these stories shared help you along the way. And just also, appreciate the beauty of being human and that's just what it is, right? Like this is, life is an adventure. It's not a perfect script. And we get to rewrite our script as many times as we want, which is the really fun part of being entrepreneurial in any capacity. So thank you all.
Perfect. Do you guys mind if I be a dork and get a photo of us somehow? I've not done it before, but I was like, you're sitting there so beautiful. I want to repost something. Is that okay?
Of course.
It'll probably take me out,
Yes.
and I'll look a dork. Yes, that's fine. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Sorry I couldn't get everyone in the audience in. I don't know how this works.
Yeah, everyone's virtually.
time.
I wish we could see everybody.
In a few months when we open up.
Oh, well, we're going to take a short break. So thank you to all these lovely ladies for joining us. And we will be regrouping in less than 15 minutes for the second half of the summit. So stick around, go get something to drink, bio breaks, stretch, and we'll see you here on less than, let's say, 10 minutes from now.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.